build that inner resilience. Wait a minute. That's what the wilderness was about. 40 years in the wilderness wasn't just punishment.
Out of rehab, out of treatment, it's not just going to go back to being hunky-dory, rainbows, and unicorns. The promised land isn't just given to you. The sober life isn't just given to you where you don't have any temptations and you don't have any hard days and somebody gives you a car and a wife and a job.
And the things I did each day to get my high was against everything that I believe. Now I'm trapped. I prayed every day. Don't get me wrong. It may not have looked like it, but I was looking for a way out and there was nothing I felt I could do. I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't do it.
All right, welcome to the podcast, everybody. My name is Dalton, and we are Resolutions Healthcare. On our podcast today, we got one of our clients, one of our current clients, who has graced us with his presence today. Paul, everybody, give it up for Paul. And Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, the hardest question to answer is where I'm from.
Oh, all right, yeah. You told me a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I was born in Galveston. Never lived there. Probably spent my first year in Beaumont, but I'm from there. It would be Houston, Tucson, San Francisco, back to Tucson, and then back to Beaumont. I think every year I was bounced back and forth between Beaumont and Houston until I got to high school.
Wow, that's a lot of moving before high school.
Well, by the time I got to high school, I had changed schools 15 times, and French high school became my 12th school by the time I was in the ninth grade.
Wow,
And neither of my parents were in the military.
really? What was why so much moving? Was
My
it?
mother was this young teenager who gotten pregnant for an older man
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't last, but she wanted to see the world.
Yeah.
Stuff she was reading about in school. But now she's got this little boy and she saw those things. I remember, it was a big deal for her to see the Grand Canyon. To me, it was just a hole in the ground. Ride on the trolley cars of San Francisco. The effect, however, for me was that I didn't have any stability, no foundation, no solid home. I think I was in the 10th grade when I finally went to.
Well, last week we were having a discussion in one of my groups, the spiritual motivation group, the devotional group, and I was teaching on the passage in Joshua chapter 24, and that's where we really got into some good discussion and thought, hey, this is good stuff, not just for us, but for the world to hear. So we're gonna try to rehash that discussion that we had last week. But as I told you this morning on my way to work, I was praying and I said, Lord, if you want us to have that same talk, bring those words back to me. But if not, just let this go whatever way you want it to go. So we're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna read the verse that we were talking about and discussing last week, and we'll just see what comes of it, all right? So in Joshua chapter 24, Joshua says, "And if it is evil in your eyes to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your father served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." It's a good saying. It's a good quote. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. But I like how he said, choose this day
Hmm.
whom you will serve. You know, I had a, I have a friend, I have a mentor, big brother in the faith who it's probably been a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. He really got me thinking about the Lord's Prayer and how Jesus taught his disciples to pray for their needs of the day, not their needs of their life or not their needs of the year or the month, but their needs of the day. He said, give us today, give us this day our daily bread. So I think Joshua is saying something right along the same lines as he's speaking to the children of Israel right here. He says, choose today who you're gonna serve. And that plays right in to recovery. You know, every day we wake up, we have a choice of who are we gonna serve? Are we gonna serve self? Are we gonna serve our drug of choice? Are we going to serve alcohol, pills, or are we going to serve God, and are we going to serve our recovery? In that discussion, where does your mind take you?
Well, what's interesting is that the name Joshua is translated from the Hebrew word Yeshua,
Mm-hmm.
and the name Jesus is translated from the word Yeshua.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. But this choose you this day also kind of, I'm thinking of Jesus could have been thinking about those days in the wilderness where they were hungry and God gave them exactly what they needed that day.
Right. Right.
Nothing for tomorrow. Everything's been eaten up from yesterday.
Right. And if it wasn't, if they tried to keep some back, what happened to it?
I think it went bad.
Went bad, grew worms. Yeah.
Right. So keeping the focus, I think, on today, making that choice today. As far as recovery is concerned, often when I'm asked at a meeting, how, how many days do I have clean? I'll come to the point of saying 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that helps me because it's a choice that I make today that I can't make it for tomorrow, next month, and what have you. And so each day is that choice, and it's going to always be before me.
Amen. The backstory to Joshua is Moses's
Protege.
protege. He served as assistant under Moses for a long period of time, learning the ropes, learning to follow God, learning how we ought to be doing things, learning how to lead the people. But Moses, he died in the wilderness. Moses didn't get to enter the promised land. Moses got to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, out of slavery, but he didn't get to enter the promised land because he didn't do as God told him to do. You remember he said, God told him to speak to this rock. What'd he do? He struck the rock instead.
Right.
He let his self get in the way and not listen to the Lord's command. So Moses was told by God that he wouldn't enter the promised land. He would get to see it from beyond the Jordan, and he did. But then Moses dies. Joshua picks up the staff. Joshua picks up the torch, per se. And now it's his job to lead the children of Israel into the promised land. Now, the promised land is a land flowing with milk and honey. It's the good land. It's the land that the children of Israelites were destined to lay hold of. But they weren't just going to cross over that river and have it. They were going to cross over that river, and they still had some enemies to defeat before they could take hold of that land. They had to drive out the enemies of God that lived there. Got a little dirt dog.
Yeah.
They had to drive out the enemies of God that were dwelling in that land before they could take possession of it. See, God had already told them, this land is yours. I'm going to give you this land. But they still had to go in, and they had to fight to lay hold of that land that God told them was theirs. How does that play into recovery for you?
I remember when you were talking about it, all kinds of things were going on in my head. And that's really, I mean, Dalton, I got to give it to you. You make great parallels. You bring them together, especially if you got someone like myself going, whoa, wait a minute. And prior to that discussion, you brought up about the slavery in Egypt.
Hmm.
And my mind started really thinking because this is an allegory. The Bible isn't necessarily a template, it's filled with symbols that can be used as allegories. You remember when Paul was going back and forth with with those who wanted to proselyte people into the customs of Jews and Galatia, the
Hmm.
people in Galatia, he took an example from Abraham's two wives and said it's an allegory. And so what I saw at that while you were talking about it was that, wait a minute, the children of Israel did not start off as slaves. Joseph had already earned a prominent position, so they came welcome. They were treated as honored guests, and they had years of being in this abundance because Egypt was a land of abundance. But at some point, something changed. Another Pharaoh takes over. Now they're slaves. Now they're living there against their will. The things they do every day is not what they want to do, it's against their will. I'm thinking, whoa, light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
That when I went in, when I first time I did crack cocaine, I was welcomed. It felt great. And I thought this enjoyment would last forever, but it didn't. I became a slave. And the things I did each day to get my high was against everything that I believed. Now I'm trapped. I prayed every day. Don't get me wrong. It may not have looked like it, but I was looking for a way out and there was nothing I felt I could do. I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't do it. And then came the plagues
Right.
in Egypt.
Yeah.
The plagues came to me. Unemployment, lost relationships, homelessness, hungry. It just these plagues kept coming.
Hmm.
I remember that in Egypt, when God sent the plagues, like the water turning into blood, the frogs, and all these things, the lotuses, and all of that, the locusts, and all of that, you got to remember, those Israelites were affected too.
Oh yeah.
But when they finally got out of that land, and here's where you were, is that he did tell them that there is a land flowing with milk and honey. Remember, Bill Wilson talks about that.
Yeah. Yeah. In the book.
And you would think, as you said that day and now, that you just cross over the land, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But now you're taking responsibility for yourself. Things get tough. And of course, the temple of their familiar was Egypt. So you can understand at some point they would want to return to that. They would say, well, at least in Egypt,
We had food to
we had
eat.
food.
Yeah.
Well, at least when I was doing drugs, I had a daily thing. I knew what I was going to do.
Mm.
I had a few people that would look out for me. It was a heck of a lot easier than facing life not as a slave. I know that may sound odd to people, but just like getting out of prison, prison actually easy. I don't have to worry about where I'm asleep, my clothes, food is there. But the moment they let me out with that little $100 check, which is probably good for 2 or 3 meals
Right.
and maybe a pair of pants at Goodwill,
Hmm.
now I have to figure this out. I have to walk with trust. And so there, here they are. And it was not that easy. They had to fight for it. They had to wonder. And then even when they got into the land, the struggles weren't over. I would love that recovery would be about the end of the struggle. I think I'm learning now that recovery is giving me the strength to face it.
Yeah. Them. I like how you brought it back to the plagues in Egypt, and we face plagues of our own when we choose to drink and drug and be given over to our substances. Because that's what we're doing. We're giving ourselves to this drug. We're giving ourselves to this drink, and that becomes our way of not taking responsibility. But then once we begin to get sober and we start walking this path of recovery, we're taking responsibility back. And a lot of times, I think it just slaps people in the face too hard. And they're like, whoa, I ain't had no responsibility in years. I just been doing whatever I want to for years. Yeah, I might have been living on the street. I might have been, you know, eating every once in a while, but at least I wasn't having to deal with all of this. And they take on all that responsibility. And I think it just freaks people out. I think it just scares people because they're out of their comfort zone and they want to go back to where they feel comfort. They want to go back to the high. They want to go
Right.
back to being drunk where they ain't got to feel anything. They ain't got to worry about anything. They ain't got to take responsibility for finding a job or staying sober, staying on the right path. It's just when I'm high, everything's it's not good, but I think everything's good because I feel good. But we don't like to take that responsibility, do we?
No, and again, I say it seems a lot easier because when I was out there doing drugs, I didn't even worry about what I was going to eat. I just walk into HEB and stuff my pockets.
Yeah.
I didn't worry about it. I didn't worry about money as long as I could talk somebody into give me some crack. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's just the way it was. That was life on the streets. I found numerous ways. No, I didn't eat like I should have. But remember, I'm in slavery. And it you would think that, okay, just stop doing drugs. Everything just falls in place. Because if you're homeless, unemployed, broke, and on drugs, you figure that if I remove the drugs, everything's solved. But you're still homeless, unemployed, and broke.
Right. And like you said yesterday, people don't just show up. Hey, I got this car you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're thinking somebody's just going to show up, and that's one in a million that someone's going to show up and say, "Oh, you stop doing drugs. Hey, man, I've got a house for you to live in. You need a car?" And my sister's single.
Mm.
Got all of it. In fact, let me put a couple of 100,000 in your bank account.
Right.
But that doesn't realistically happen.
Yeah.
This is not what's at trading places
Yeah.
where somebody just dump a lump of cash. And that probably wouldn't be good anyway, because I probably would went right back out there to dope.
Oh, no
That's too
doubt.
much money
No doubt.
for someone who hasn't grown.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I am without any I didn't have much help. You know, I have relatives but no family, so it gets a little tight.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave up a lot of times, just like the children of Israel. There were many times that I'd say, man, Egypt looks a lot better.
Yeah.
But I didn't call it slavery.
Right.
Right. I didn't say that crack was better. It's just that I understood.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have to get out there and start working at it, and I mean, I remember being without any identification or anything, looking for jobs, and realistically, it's really tough. Fortunately, there are resources out there, but you have to really search for them and hope that the well hasn't run dry.
Right.
But even if the well has run dry, somehow you have to build that inner resilience. Wait a minute. That's what the wilderness was about. 40 years in the wilderness wasn't just punishment. We can look at it that way. I think that it was a time for them to grow. Each day they had to learn to depend on God. They didn't have sources. They had to fight to find watering holes. And there were times God just fed them right out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we get the term angel food cake.
Mm-hmm.
There's this Reverend Lakshmi Barso, my mentor, for about almost 20 years now. And when I was really struggling, she told me about how when caterpillars go into the cocoon, that they have this thing that's that's sharp, and they slowly cut themselves out, but it takes a long time.
Right. Yeah.
So those who grow butterflies figured, let's make it where we'll cut it open. That way we can cultivate more. But what they discovered is that when they do that, the butterflies were fully formed, but they couldn't fly. They weren't strong enough. And then they realized they gained their strength from that period of time when they're cutting the cocoon open. So we aren't simply rescued. We're given a chance to build strength, which is a lot of work. I love to build strength without working out. But the fact is that it won't happen. There's no pill that's going to build strength and physical fitness. Just have to do it.
Right.
I got 1,000 excuses why I shouldn't. Shoulder hurts. I got bad knees. I also have ulcerative colitis, and I'm 58 years old.
Boss man would say that ain't no excuse.
No, he's 71. He asked me yesterday about, hey, you wasn't in the gym. I'm not going to be in the gym with you and let a 71-year-old man show me up.
But yeah, we don't grow unless we're pushed. We don't get stronger unless we rip those muscles. If I go in the gym and every day for a year I lift the same amount of weight, I'm gonna be toned. I might be cut up, shredded, but really, am I gonna be that much stronger than I was a year ago? Some, if I'm increasing my reps, yeah. But if I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, it gets to a point where that those 10 curls with that same amount of weight, it's not testing anything. It's not pushing anything. So we got to add weight to the bar. We got to get a heavier dumbbell. We got to test those muscles to grow those muscles. And that's what you're talking about in getting back into the world, out of prison, out of rehab, out of treatment. It's not just going to go back to being hunky dory, rainbows, and unicorns. The promised land isn't just given to you. The sober life isn't just given to you where you don't have any temptations and you don't have any hard days and somebody gives you a car and a wife and a job. It's not going to happen. But each day, as we run into this hurdle,
Right.
as we run into this trial, and as we push through, that's where the strength comes from. Strength doesn't come from just having everything given to us. Strength comes from us working for it and pushing through the hard times to get to the greener pastures. But it takes work. It's not easy.
What made Joshua, such a candidate for that position was how he saw things. When they sent the 12 spies out, 10 came back and they saw probably what I would have seen. Some big old people.
They big.
And they seem to outnumber us. I don't think we stand a chance. But what Joshua saw beside this land floor, he saw that, but he saw something that was doable. And that's the difference between the average person and an athlete. If you're running the hurdles, if you put some hurdles in front of the average person, all they see is a bunch of barriers. Remove them so I can cross the finish line. But to a hurdler, it's just challenges.
Yeah.
And I remember I won district, believe it or not, at my height. I'm 5'6". I was shorter then. I was shortest guy in the hurdles, running the hurdles, which meant that I had to jump over the hurdles where everybody else was gliding over them, taking steps. And I remember the first time I tried to jump a hurdle, I broke it, just split it, fell all over the ground. That's it. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And a guy named Felton Handy, he was in high school. He was tall, worked with me. And these hurdles became challenges. I just had to keep building my technique. As what you were saying earlier, sometimes the things that challenge me at one point, and if I'm not challenged any further than that, what once challenged me can become my comfort zone.
Right.
So I have to be careful there.
Right.
It's easier for me to develop these comfort zones. It's easy to come here to Hidden Oaks. It's wonderful. There are a lot of things out here, and it can easily become my comfort zone. And I catch myself feeling that way. Food is great. We have world class therapists. We have Vinny, who comes with a perspective that always blows my mind. You're there with perspectives that are just new to me, and a lot of caring people. The challenge is for me to do the work.
Right.
You know, sitting in groups and these deep questions come, I would love to close up. I would love to sit back and let everybody else answer. Is it lunchtime yet?
Mm.
I would love to do that. But I know that if I don't challenge myself, because oftentimes, what do you think, Paul? I'm going, come back to me. Not because I'm feeling timid, but now you're forcing me to really think. What's the truth? What's underneath it? Laura has a she does this great. I'm scratching with a trowel. She pulls out a shovel with anything I say, and I go, thank you. I didn't even see that. That's a challenge. And I'm starting to appreciate it because it makes me strong enough to look at the the one challenge, the one bully that has kicked my butt all these years, me. I can look in the mirror. He doesn't even look like a bully anymore. Just a guy that's crying out for help.
Yeah. Amen. Paul said something last week. We did a podcast with Ryan. Paul said you gotta stop blaming everybody else for the things that are going wrong.
That's easy.
Blaming everybody else is easy.
Yeah.
We would rather it be on them because then we ain't got to take no responsibility, back to what we were talking about earlier. But we got to turn it in. We get angry. Can't blame that person over there for making me angry. Like Paul said, why did I let them get me so angry? Why did that make me so angry? It's not on them, it's on me. And Laura's got a good way at making you dig in.
But and she still leaves you to do the work. Laura doesn't, neither does Vinny try to figure it out for you. They do a great job, as you do, even case managers in techs, of putting something out there that you guys call tools. So if you give me a shovel, or there's treasure out there, buried pretty deep, you give me a shovel, and I'm going, where's the treasure? And I may dig a little bit, but I would much rather you, Laura, and all of you guys pull up with that backhoe and pull it up.
Right.
The other thing is that sometimes the treasure may be, if you tell me it's 100 feet deep, I'll dig 10 feet over here, 10 feet over there, 10 feet over there. I'm sure not going to get the treasure. It may equal 100 feet, but I haven't gone very deep. And that has been a problem that I've faced. Not sticking with it, going deeper. It's a little bit too deep. I'm running into rocks. Let's try over here. There are obstacles there. What do I do? I've learned from places I've been, I've learned even here, it's just the same thing being told to me. To face it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a coward at times. I'll admit it.
Yeah.
But the word courage doesn't mean the absence of fear.
Right.
It's the willingness to go further. In fact, it comes from, I think, a Latin word that means heart. That to have the heart to do it.
Yeah, take heart.
And you have great examples around you. We don't look at that. I know most of us don't, especially me. I look at the people who give up. and have good reasons. Because when I give up, I'm just following the lead. I feel comfortable. Let's form a support group of people who give up, and we
Mhm.
can sit around and complain together.
Yeah. Come on.
And I'm a little different now. It's not just because of age, it's a lot of experiences, but most importantly, is that now I surround myself with people who don't give up and will not accept my giving. They don't accept my excuses. They won't accept that I want to rearrange the entire world so I can be happy. I want you to stop doing what you're doing so I can be happy at this moment. And if you do that, I'll be happy. 10 minutes later, there's something else I can think of. One day, maybe I'll realize that that's my choice. It has nothing to do with what you're doing. And like Vinny said, it's not that person. It's not. I can't believe that I'm responsible for my own happiness.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a responsibility. You're telling me that it's all on me when it's easier to say, you're aggravating me. You're making me mad. You're the reason why I do drugs. You're the reason why this failed. And that's why I'm giving up. I'm glad that I'm around people that won't accept that. Even at my age, people won't accept it.
Good. Too many people do accept it. That's why the world's in the state that it's in. Just it's easier to pass the blame on to the next person,
Yeah.
pass the buck on to the next person, not take responsibility for ourselves, our actions, our attitudes. You know, when me and my wife have an argument, I got to quit going. Well, you started this and it's your fault. Ah, it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. But that's what my flesh wants to
Yeah.
do. See, whether you're just starting recovery, whether you've been in recovery for a while, whether your issue is something non recovery related, you still got an issue. Everybody's got
Yeah.
issues. And to bring it back to where we started, you have the choice every day, every situation, every trial that comes, you have the situation. Am I going to choose to serve the Lord? Am I going to choose to serve myself? I'm going to
Mm.
choose to serve the flesh because that flesh wants to pop off. That flesh wants to get angry at somebody else. That flesh wants to pass the blame. We got to turn it back in. Got to turn it back in. We got to be more resilient.
Is the word.
There's the word. Quit letting every little thing get you thrown off track.
That is so true. You're looking at someone who's lived it.
Yeah, I've lived it too. Not as long as you have,
By the time you're my age, you will be a lot wiser than I will ever be.
but
You learned it early.
we and I don't want to say addicts. I don't want to say just addicts, but a lot of people in general. We just make mountains out of molehills. We catastrophize everything. You make a mistake, okay. If you screw up at 8 o'clock in the morning, okay. Hit the reset button.
Hmm.
You don't got to throw the rest of the day down the toilet. Hit the reset button. Forgive yourself. Ask God to forgive you. Get back on the horse and keep going. Take responsibility for your actions. Keep striving to live a life of recovery. So choose you this day who you're going to serve. Going to serve our drugs? Probably ain't going to end up too different for us in the future. Probably going to end up back at this same spot.
We got me having chill bumps. I made my choice today.
Yeah.
Today. Not before I came in here. I can tell you about that all day long. I made a choice today, and it's recovery isn't, I don't think, just about choosing not to do drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's minuscule compared to the unctions that I face. Like, am I going to get up and make my bed?
Right.
Am I going to get up and take a shower? Am I going to get up and read some of this material? And not just reading material, because if I just read and don't practice, that's like going to a restaurant and reading the menu but never eat the meal.
Right. You still be hungry.
Yeah, I've read many menus. But I'm going to eat. I want to eat. And so I get plenty of practice here. My attitude gets challenged every day
Oh yeah.
amongst the lush here. It gets challenged.
Oh yeah.
And people don't let me get away with it. I don't know why. They pick me out of the crowd and say, "You're not going to get away with that.
Uh-huh.
Laura has it bad."
Yeah.
No, not you.
Uh-huh.
No, what about them? Don't worry about them. Worry about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love her to death for that. That the challenges are here. But I also have some choices to make this day. I can go hide in my room. I can go hide on the inside. I got like 100 million fantasies that can take me away while I'm looking at you. Because I don't want to face what seems to be unpleasant. So the challenges are here. If I give myself a chance here, I think I stand a chance out there. If I don't give myself a chance in here, honestly, I don't stand a chance out
Not
there.
at all.
And like Vinny loves to say, see you at the next treatment center.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
If I don't do it now, I'm going to be trying to get back into Hidden Oaks or somewhere else, thinking that if I go back to treatment, that's a solution. When the solution is I still have to do the work.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is lush. And there are places that can't touch this place. But that's like going into a gym that's both of them got weights, but one is lush and it's got balls and all of that. Doesn't matter if I don't start working out.
Right.
Where I'm at. It doesn't matter. Yeah, this is a beautiful place. But I can still sit here and do nothing. Trust me, I've done that. I can let a lot of things get in my way. Usually, the things that get in my way is me anyway. But I have to see that. You can't make me see it. You can point out and give me the tools. It's really up to me. And I like that we use the word tools. Those tools don't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
A hammer just sits there.
Right.
It
right.
only becomes a hammer
Yeah.
when I use it as one.
Come on.
I mean, I could try to use it as a fork. A lot of times I pick up the wrong tool. It's like trying to slice bread with a sledgehammer. Wrong tool.
Don't work.
So the tools are there, and people who are experienced will remind you. I don't always like what I hear, but I'm willing to try.
Yeah.
And when I'm unwilling to hear it, I need to do a little growing in that area. At 58, I'm still learning. I think that the day you stop learning is the day you become a liability to yourself and others.
Right.
Even on my deathbed, I'm going to be learning how to die. Right now, I'm trying to learn how to live.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Yeah. We want that for you. Well, that's a good bit of advice to end with. And the last bit of advice I have for you is just do the hard work. Nothing comes easy in this life. Sobriety dang sure doesn't come easy. It's a fight every day. But you get to choose today what you're going to do about it.
Man.
One day at a time. You get to choose. What will you choose? If you like this conversation, this podcast discussion, hit that like, share, subscribe, leave us a comment. All that stuff helps us just to get these videos out in front of more people that hopefully we can touch just one person. And if one person gets hope from this discussion, then Paul, I believe that we've done our jobs. Um, if we see one addict get just a glimmer of hope from this discussion, we've done our duty. And man, again, just appreciate you coming on here today to discuss this topic. It was something that really, it just, when we had this discussion last week, it just jumped straight into my mind. So I appreciate you. Again, you can see us at resolutionshealthcare.com, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us on all those different platforms, and we'll see you on the next one.